Does using a prep center make financial sense? That's what we're going to answer today. See, this is a topic that's been top of mind for me. I just interviewed a prep center because I am getting ready to make that transition. And there's a couple ways I calculated very simply. Does this make sense for me financially? I know it's going to free up my time, but from a monetary standpoint, does it make sense? And here's what I came up with. So, what I'm going to do is break down the numbers. There's a real simple formula that I used, and then not everything is just about dollars. There are some intangible factors that you need to consider if and when you decide to use a prep center. And for anybody not familiar, when you do FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, you prep and ship all of your items to Amazon, who puts it on their warehouse shelves and then fulfill the orders on your behalf. Simple enough, but you have to prep properly these items. You don't just send them into them without creating a shipment, without putting on barcodes. Some need to go in poly bags, some need bubble wrap, etc. And it's very, very time consuming. And to be frank, your time likely can be better spent sourcing or maybe time with the family or whatever it is that you want to do. So I've been doing this for 2.5 years and I am ready to make that switch. So this is kind of how I broke it down. I'm going to give you my real life numbers as an example, and we don't need to overcomplicate things. Okay. So I currently strive to spend $40,000 a month. I live in a state that has 7% sales tax. So if I spend $40,000 pre tax, the 7% sales tax would mean that I spend $2,800 a month on tax. Okay. So that's a pretty good substantial chunk. Now, another number we need to know is what would it cost me per unit in order to use a prep center? And the number we're going to use today is $1.50 all in cost. Sure, some people have a less, some more. I found this to be a very realistic number based on me interviewing a prep center, which, by the way, I have an episode coming out about that, or a video, as well as talking to other Amazon sellers. So, really simple formula to figure out what's my break even point. You take your total amount of taxes, okay, which is $2,800, and you divide it by the cost per unit of the prep center, which is $1.50. So 2,800 divided by $1.50 equals 1,866. So what does that mean? That means if I send into this prep center 1,866 units exactly, I would break even. And by the way, I should have mentioned this. This is a huge part. A prep center that's in a no sales tax state. So 1,866 units. If that's what I send into the prep center, it's literally going to cost me the same amount as if I paid $2,800 in taxes and I had to do all of the prep work myself. So that means if it's 1,866 units or less, it makes complete sense for me from a financial standpoint, okay? And by the way, any number of units that are less than that, I'm actually saving money. Any amount of units above that 1866, I'm out of pocket $1.50 per unit, but I would also save hours and hours in my week. Just so you know, to give some context, I do about 1,200 units a month right now, 12 to 1,500, maybe something like that. So I have plenty of cushion in order to just break even. So I would be saving money by doing this. So to me, strictly financially, it's a no-brainer. Okay. So I do want to point out something else. Okay. No matter if I spend $40,000 on literally one unit, or if I buy 40,000 units and they're all a dollar, right? Regardless, my sales tax is always going to be 7% of what I spend, $2,800. However, if you're somebody that spent $40,000, and again, we're just making this as complete extremes, so you only have one unit to the prep center, well, you're only spending $1.50. And if you're someone that spends a dollar on every product, you're going to have 40,000 units. So you're going to lose out a lot of money. So my point is this: if you're somebody, you need to understand how many units you send in each month. And if you're someone that has a higher ticketed price on average, you're going to save more money because it's less amount of quantity, right? Less amount of number of units and vice versa. So definitely some things to consider. If your situation looks anything like me and you're in a state where you pay sales tax, financially, it's kind of a no brainer to use a prep center and a prep center in a sales tax free state. Okay. Now, for the people, there's a few of them that live in sales tax free states. All right. Yes, you wouldn't save anything by sending it to a prep center. You would actually lose money because you don't get that advantage of saving on the sales tax, but you have the advantage of not paying sales tax, right? So what I would say is this, if that was my situation, rather and you certainly didn't want to prep, okay? So assuming you definitely don't want to prep, I would find a sibling, a significant other, a family member, a friend that you trust, and rather than pay a prep center for it, maybe you can have a really nice casual relationship with one of these folks, let them make money instead of the prep center. Maybe you can pay them less than you would a prep center. You don't have to prep, they make some extra money, you have peace of mind, and you have to pay for someone to do it anyway. So that could be a really nice way of keeping the money, quote unquote, in house. Another thing I want to mention is that some states, like I'm from Florida, they're not a sales tax free state, but some specific categories are. So for instance, their supplements and vitamins are sales tax free. So if you want to diversify a little bit or not put all of your eggs in one prep center basket, or maybe you're like, you know what, all these sales tax free state prep centers, they know they have you kind of by the you know what, I want to spread this out a little. Well, you can send your vitamins and supplements to like a Florida prep center and your other stuff that isn't tax free in Florida to one of the ones in the sales tax free state. Or maybe you do want to prep still a little bit for whatever reason. So you can do like half. You don't have to go completely all in, regardless of what state you send it to. That's an option too. But strictly financially, if you go from a tax state to a non sales tax state, it does make sense, at least from what we've developed here today. So, from a financial standpoint, if you're in a tax state and you go to a sales tax free state for prepping, I think it's going to make a lot of sense. Are there going to be exceptions to the rule? Of course. But not everything is 100% pros and 0% cons. You're going to have communication. You are putting a lot of trust in a prep center to run your business, right? You're going to have to manage them or communicate with them pretty frequently. And nobody's going to run or treat your business the way that you do. I'm all for it. But also, my messaging would be, and I'm going to do this, I'm not going to go from 0 to 100. I'll start sending them in a couple hundred items, maybe, make sure everything goes smoothly, and I'll continue to prep. And then I'll hopefully just completely swap it out so it's 100% prep center or 0 me. But I've done this for 2.5 years. I've come too far to give someone complete trust in any relationship, really, without earning it to some degree, and especially when it comes to business. So that's just my 2 cents. I know everyone's eager and doesn't want to prep. It's not the most fun, it's not the most value added activity, but especially if you've come this far, wean into it, right? Slowly and steadily. This is always a long term play. I appreciate you guys being here. I'm Jonathan. Duke does Amazon. We're on Instagram as well. Have a great day, and I will talk to you guys soon.